For more on this, let's welcome in the Executive Director for the American Center for Law and Justice, Jordan Sekulow, back with us. Jordan, you just heard it right there. Take us through what you're expecting today.
You know, I think, again, it's pretty grueling usually, and obviously Hunter Biden has 2 pending criminal cases, so he will have the opportunity, depending on what was negotiated exactly. If questions are too detailed about that, he could raise Fifth Amendment objections to answering the questions, because you do still have that right in those hearings. I think it is unique that we're not going to get a video, but we're going to get a transcript. You said maybe by this afternoon. They said definitely within 24 hours. Mm-hmm. They're just redacting confidential information or other names and sources that they wouldn't want out there and shouldn't be out there at this point. So Republicans and Democrats came to actually a pretty good agreement here without having to have a major legal battle. And I think that the goal here is not really the prosecution necessarily of Hunter Biden, but it's to what information Hunter Biden can give us insight on that helps them decide whether or not to bring articles of impeachment against President Biden at this point.
Yeah, and you just heard the congressman say there's still a lot of questions. Do you think Republicans get any of the answers that they've been seeking today?
You know, I think they're on specific tax issues, if they're unrelated to the charges in California, I think that they can get some answers there. Also, on just drilling down on places where they've got testimony, they know he was on phone calls, they know about meetings. There's been others who have testified under oath about him almost joining a company with a Chinese individual, and that Hunter was going to put this together after President Biden was vice president. But it all goes back to the idea is that was there something impeachable that again, that's kind of a crime, or in the appearance, or it's not the same level. Of course, they can impeach over anything, but legitimately, to bring, I think, a legitimate impeachment, and not like the ones we saw against President Trump, you want to have some serious evidence of criminal activity, of wrongdoing by the now President of the United States, and that's why you move forward and you put the country through an impeachment and potentially an impeachment trial. It's going to be tough to convince the U.S. Senate to go along with this.
Yeah, but you know what? At the very least, it draws a lot of attention to the Biden family. Some call the Biden family the Biden crime family. And that's the point of this, to get to the bottom of it. Let's go to Georgia now. Fulton County, Fani Willis, Nathan Wade. There was some bombshell, and I don't use that word lightly, reporting over the weekend. This is the Trump Georgia election interference case that we've talked about several times. So Fani Willis, the district attorney down there in Fulton County, and Nathan Wade, her ex-boyfriend, I don't think those two are getting back together after all this, but who knows? There were apparently 2,000 phone calls and over 10,000 text messages between January and November 2021, so a 6-month period, which directly contradicts both of their testimony that the relationship did not start until early 2022. Cell phone records also show that their phones were in the same place, the location of her condo, 35 times during that period. Now, we can't prove they had a relationship. I'm married. I don't think I've texted my wife 10,000 times ever. And we've been together 15 plus years. That's a lot of text messages for somebody that you're just friends with, Jordan.
Right. I mean, and the standard here for the prosecutor is not a criminal standard to have to be removed. It's not even it's more like a recusal standard, which is the appearance even of impropriety, that there's something going on wrong here. And of course, you look at first just the fact that, again, Mr. Wade has no experience in trying a RICO-style case with this complex and the amount of money he was paid. Why would you pick this person over a state which has a ton of attorneys, both sides of the aisle, who would be much more capable in putting together a case like this that was actually more serious? The second question, of course, is we've got the phone records. This is not a criminal case, so you can use those that inference as much as you want. The people who are saying, oh, that doesn't really mean anything, that's not true, because no one's going to jail here. It's whether or not she should be on this case. The bigger issue, though, is that if they decide if the judge decides she should not be on the case, the entire DA's office is taken off the case. A new DA is appointed, and let me tell you, I would think, because they'll have to start from scratch, that now it's almost like too far from the starting point to start from scratch, so that this case would likely crumble. Do we know that 100% after yesterday's testimony from Again, Bradley, his former partner, I don't think so yet. He does have that one text message that looks like he knew about it. But again, it's a lot of information for the judge to consider, and he's got another hearing before he does.
Yeah, and this judge, Scott McAfee, he is running for re-election in a month or two. I think it's May when his election, or maybe the end of March. Either way, he's running for election in Fulton County, where Fani Willis is the district attorney, which to me is at least a conflict on the surface. We'll see how this plays out, but I just think, and again, I'm not an attorney, but I just think if you're the district attorney and you perjure yourself, you've got to be held to a higher standard than a typical defendant. Again, we'll see what the judge decides to do, and we'll have you back. Jordan Sekulow, thank you.
Absolutely.